Loves to scream, this car. What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to another video. This one I'm really excited about because I'm bringing you something really rare. I like the idea that people might watch this video and they've never seen this car before in their life. Maybe they don't even know about it, know it exists or anything. It's really, really cool, and I think it's the true mark of a rare car. Yes, that's right, we're talking about the Rover 200 BRM. So the BRM was an attempt by Rover in the late 90s to get in on the performance car market. It was big at the time, you know, Golf GTIs, you know, Clio Williams, a typical manufacturer limited edition car that was selling well. So Rover wanted a piece of it. The only thing is that Rover was built on heritage, it was built on tradition. So, you know, it didn't really have performance cars at the time, yet they had great success with Formula 1 giant BRM in the 60s, developing a gas turbine engine, which they then took to Le Mans. So they had real motorsport heritage in their blood. They just needed a way to, you know, bring it to the public. So the idea they had was take an existing Rover car that was doing well, it was a good handler, it had good performance, the Rover 200, and then jazz it up in a limited edition, make it stiffer, make it perform even better, and dress it up in something that could celebrate the collaboration that they had with BRM way back in the 60s. And this is what they came up with. I've just had to move the car because the sun's chasing us around, I can't see a thing. But this car came with some really, really cool styling features, like the orange intake on the front. Now that's reminiscent of the BRM Formula 1 cars. They were also in the same shade of Goodwood green, or British racing green. They also had this really cool chrome Bentley style grille on the front. Aluminium style mirrors, handles, trim, and these gorgeous 60s style mini light wheels. I really like them, they are proper cool. BRM badges on the wings, although they're not the real ones, to be honest. I think this car's had wings in its life. Same aluminium style trim on the back, lovely BRM badge. And that absolutely gorgeous quilted red leather 60s style racing interior. It's like a Biggles wet dream in here, isn't it? It's just fantastic, so stylish. 60s racer inspired, quilted red leather, all the nice little turned aluminium bits, just like in the 60s race cars. I mean, you can imagine, you know, Sir Sterling Moss sat in his race car looking at the same kind of things, you know, that lovely quilted red leather, all the little press stud details. Oh, it's fantastic. I love it. What do you think of that interior? It's such a statement of individual style, you know what I mean? It would take a motor company like the Rover Group to come up with something that wild, something that heritage, something that just beautiful. Can you remember the Rover BRM? Let us know in the comments what you think. Maybe what your first impressions are when you seen it, or maybe if you even never seen it before in your life. Let us know in the comments, and no one would think bad of you because this is actually quite a rare car. Now this car was based on the existing Rover 200 VI model. It came with Rover's legendary K-Series engine. Legendary for head gasket failures, that is. It hasn't got a good reputation, this engine. This is Rover's K-Series 1800 16 valve. It's actually quite a strong, robust and very light engine. It's an all aluminium block with iron wet liners for cylinders, and it makes 143 brake horsepower. It features Rover's very cutting edge at the time, and even to this day, VVC valve timing, which gives precise control over the valve timing. It even makes Honda's VTEC system look a little bit restrictive. And to put all that roaring power to the floor, they actually fitted the Torsen differential from the Rover 220 Turbo. So this has got a limited slip diff from factory. The BRM was 20mm lower than the standard car and also had stiffer springs. 1,109 of these were produced, 797 of them destined for the UK market, and that very car there is number 9. So single digit build figure, so even in the BRM world, this is a mega rare car, and it gets even rarer. Because this car comes with factory fitted aircon, and it works, can you believe it? A 22-year-old British classic mega rare car that's got working aircon. Freaking awesome. So what's the downsides, Nick? I can hear you say from the other side of the screen. Well, like every other Rover going, these things, they like to rot. They're known to rot out on the sills, on the wings, on the roof, and also on the hinges here. I'm not going to lie to you, this car's seen paint in its life, so it's actually in very, very good condition, especially for a BRM, because I've seen a few BRMs in my time, and I can tell you that some of them make the Titanic look healthy. You may have noticed that I've got my orange watch on, my orange Team Prone Racing t-shirt to match with the orange of the car. It's such a striking car, that, isn't it? That orange air intake, it's just crazy. And you'd think that that would maybe make it popular, but this is back in the 90s, everyone was a bit reserved. The car was actually a bit of a flop. The styling, as wild as it was actually just too wild. It was too retro, it was too indulgent, and it was all attached to a Rover. Which, let's face it, at the end of the 90s, the early 2000s, the Rover group was dead in the water. No one was buying them, no one had respect in them, no one wanted a Rover, they weren't cool. So what makes that rare little Rover there, that pretty little Rover, so cool today? Well, in 2013, Practical Performance Car magazine cited the Rover 200 BRM as the most forgotten about and also the most underrated hot hatch of all time. That means it's good, doesn't it? Let's find out. Oh! Here we go. We're off. Quite the reliable little Rover, I like it. Turn the radio off though, eh? Woo! We're driving a Rover BRM. I have to say, first impressions about this car, the interior, I absolutely love it. This is literally a love-or-hate interior. I can see why people would hate it. Oh, it's just all the nice little touches, the little bits of aluminium, and this is genuine turned aluminium as well. It's not any cheap plastic, apart from on the dash of course, like, but it's really, really nicely put together, this car. And it's actually the styling part of this car which made it pretty much unbearable for Rover to continue with. It was so custom, all of this. It cost a fortune, so it was never going to be a big production model. Anyway, let's get out for a spin. Oh, no wait there. I'm not exactly dressed for the occasion, am I? This is a Rover after all. That's better, old boys. Dressed in correct Rover attire. Let's go for a nice country drive. Oh! And therein lies the problem with the BRM. Sports cars, performance cars, they're meant to be aimed at young people, they're meant to be aimed at hip people who would like to drive fast. However, the Rover group, I think their target demographic was more old age pensioners, blokes in tweeds, flat caps. You know, they didn't really cater for the young person. Actually, let's jazz this up a little bit. There we go. I'm basically a BRM sat here. I'm old, but I'm also cool. I think that works. Now the styling for all, it's very in your face, it's sort of outrageous, it's garish. That big orange grille on the front, the custom red leather interior. It's still very retro, it's still very much of a time gone by. If you're going to try and sell cars to people, do you really want to, you know, remind them of 30, 40 years previous? Probably not really, like. Which straight away also suggests that Rover, well, maybe he's pointing this car in the wrong direction. It was maybe just a bit too retro to be popular. It's a real shame because I really like it. Whose idea was to put all this stuff on? It's boiling in here now. Oh, there. Got aircon, baby. So this car, it hasn't got the most powerful engine. It hasn't got the best chassis in the world. But it is known for its fantastic balanced handling. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that they didn't go too wild with the engine. It's just that 143 brake horsepower, 1816 valve engine at the front. Aluminium, so nice and light. It doesn't really sort of bear the full front end of the car. Plus the stiffer, lower springs means that the car is very, very agile. It feels really nice, but at the same time, it's actually very, very smooth. It can move, this car, I can tell you that. Full chat, 5,000 RPM, doing the speed limit. That's impressive, it really is. Now there's a roundabout coming up here now, and it's a new one. It's very, very smooth. Now I test my other cars out on this, so for example, I really like to plant my foot in second gear around there, feel the diff kick in and pull you around. So let's just test out this diff. There we go, second gear, going round the roundabout and plant the throttle. Hey! I can tell you straight away that that held on. That was brilliant. Hey, God, this car makes us smile, it really does. That was very, very nimble. Now, on a normal limited slip diff, like a Quaife or a Pelican, like what I've got in the Lupo, what you find is when you plant the throttle, the diff sort of kicks in and you get that grab, it pulls you into the corner. But this Torsen differential, it's a lot different. It's very, very smooth. There's no like grab. It doesn't pull. It just, it's actually very smooth, but just as effective. I didn't lift off there, and this car pulled us around that roundabout. Here we go. 5,000 RPM, 6,000 RPM, 7,000 RPM. It's screaming. Change. Oh. Quite addictive, that noise, it really is. And again. Loves to scream, this car. Brakes. Whoa! Now them are sharp brakes. Here we are, another roundabout, second gear, plant the foot. Oh, that's gripping. That's the one. It feels so raw, this car. I feel connected to the road. You don't get that in modern cars. If there's a detachment and isolation, make you feel all safe and warm inside. But in this car, I feel really, really connected. I mean, the modern cars, like, It's like driving a smartphone, isn't it? It's not like driving a car. You have all your in-car entertainment. This car still has a tape deck, for God's sake. I mean, I'm driving along watching, you know, iPhone 10s and Samsung S20s go past, and here I am playing Snake in me Nokia 3210 and I'm winning. Woo! You know what's a real shame as I'm driving along these country roads enjoying the Rover experience is that this was pretty much the last performance Rover ever made. I mean, obviously the development from this car went on. They made the MG ZRs, the ZSs, the ZTs, all the rest of it, but this is quite possibly the last performance Rover, and it's a real shame because this car is actually very, very good. It's putting a big smile on my face. It's far better than what I thought it would be. I mean, I've had a lot faster cars with a lot less character. I mean, Golf GTIs, Audi S3s, you get in them, yes, they're fast. They're friggin' boring though, aren't they? You know what I mean? This is a proper hoot. I think it's also a shame that they didn't capitalise on this car as well. I mean, if you think about what the contenders for this car would have been, things like the Renault Clio Williams. Now that was a car that Renault sort of did. It was a homologation car, obviously, so they had full intentions of taking it rally, and it had a lot more money put behind it. But you know, Renault and Williams and Rover, BRM, manufacturer plus F1 team, they could have done really big things with this. It's a shame they really didn't push it that little bit further. This could have been like what the Clio Williams then what became, you know, all the Renault Sport Clios. There could be a range of really sporty Rovers. It's a real shame that there's not. Now here's a sad thing, as I'm driving along a nice country road in a Rover 200 BRM, is that these cars were rare when they first came out. 20 odd years later, out of the 797 UK cars, there's about 100 left on the road, and about 200 and odd that are sold, but let's face it, most of them will be long gone by now. There is the slightest chance that you may never see one of these cars again. They're that rare. And that is a sad thought. Rover 200 BRM LE limited edition. Let us know what you think about the car in the comments. I really would like to hear, and if you like this video, remember to give us a thumbs up. I really, really do appreciate that. Any interaction that you give us on the channel is just awesome. You'll probably be able to tell from the video that I like this car. I really, really do like it, which is why it's bombshell time, because this Rover BRM is my Rover BRM. Please don't unsubscribe. See you next time.